New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of this act, the Belvidere Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted with the Star Ledger and the Express Times and submitted to the town clerk, the town clerk of the town of Belvidere on January 7th, 2019. Flag salute, right? Flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Mr. Blum? Here. Mrs. Patino? Here. Mrs. Costantino? Dr. Suffolk?
Here.
Mr. LaBar?
Here.
Mr. Lucas? Here. Mr. Matlock?
Here.
Mrs. Bell? Here. Mr. Smith? Mrs. Steffen?
Here.
Mrs. Williams? Here. Mrs. Scott? Here.
You got it. Do I do this, or who does the accept resignation?
We can all do that. I'll read Mr. Matlock's letter. Dear Chris and the Belvidere School Board members, please accept this letter as my resignation as school board member effective January 13th, 2020. I have been voted on to the Belvidere Town Council and look forward to the new challenge set before me. I would like to thank administration and all the members of the school board for choosing me to fill a vacancy at that time. I enjoyed being on the board, and I've learned a lot during my years. Very truly yours, Glenn E. Matlock.
So, do we have to do anything with that?
Motion.
Motion,
Motion.
second, all in favor.
All right. Can I have a motion to accept Glenn's resignation?
Motion.
Second? Anybody? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? You're done, Glenn.
Thank you. I'm not done yet. I'm gonna speak yet.
Well, you're gonna wait till I say public participation, because you're off the board now. Time now for public participation.
Just want to say a couple things to Mrs. Jama and Chris and the school board members. Thank you 3 years ago, the ones that were here that voted me in. It was one of my bucket lists I had to do. Now I'm on to the journey of the second bucket list I'm doing, but I'm not going to say what my third one is. Chris knows, and the board members are in there. I don't know if that's going to come true or not, but I want to thank all you guys. I learned a lot. There was a lot of big shoes to fill taking her spot when she left. So I'm going to be like her. I'm going to be probably at these meetings, and I'll be the thorn in somebody's toe, maybe. But thank you again, all you guys.
Thanks, Glenn.
I'd like to say thanks, Glenn, for coming on the board. At that time, nobody wanted to be on the board. It's a little more popular now, but then nobody wanted any position, so they were hard to fill.
Thank
But
you.
remember, I go to town council now, so I'm watching you.
Yeah, but I'm gonna- Don't pick on me too much there.
Any other public participation? Judy?
Good evening, Judy Black, President Belvidere Education Association. On February 1st, 2019, the board unilaterally changed our health insurance from Horizon to AmeriHealth. Our position then was that AmeriHealth was not equal to or better than Horizon, which was a violation of our contract. On April 2nd, 2019, the New Jersey Public Employee Regulatory Commission agreed with us and said, the board's selection of AmeriHealth has resulted in a unilateral change in the level of benefits that may irreparably harm unit members and their covered dependents. Because of the possibility of irreparable harm, PERC directed the Belvidere Board of Education to establish and fund an interim program guaranteeing that unit members and their covered dependents may avail themselves of funds to pay upfront costs of medical care and any additional costs of medical treatment that would have been covered under the Horizon Plan. Today, it's nearly 10 months since PERC ordered the district to pay our upfront cost. There is still no way for us to get paid upfront. On September 25th, 2019, the board signed an agreement that obligates them to provide a way to give us upfront payments in 30 days. Today is 126 days later, and the board has no way for us to pay upfront. This board needs to comply with both the PERC order and our agreement by immediately establishing a way to pay upfront care upfront for care that would have been covered had they not chosen to change our health insurance carrier to one that is not equal. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy.
Hi, my name's Jill Hummel. I had watched the past board meeting on the talks about fixing up Third Street School Gym, Oxford Street Gym, and I'm not sure when the last time that gym was updated, but I feel like it needs updates. The floor, the ceiling, the paint's all wearing off. I know other parents are concerned about it, and I was just wondering if, there could be some updates on that gym, because I think it needs it, and so do a bunch of other parents. And one parent wrote a letter about it, so I don't know who would want this.
We can send it and we can
Yeah.
pass it around to the whole board, make
Well,
copies.
someone can read it.
Yeah, you can read it.
Okay.
Or do you,
Well, yeah, she can read
I
it,
could
or
read
she
her
can give it to us and we'll pass it around.
This is from Mrs. Mitch, and she just wrote, "I would just like to express my concern for the children when using Belvidere Oxford Street Gym. I personally know many children who got concussions as a result of the hard flooring in the gym. My son injured his knee years back and is still suffering, even facing potential surgery from an injury he got from this gym floor. With all the monies I pay as a taxpayer, $12,000 a year, as a single parent, I would at least hope that my children could have a school gym that is safe and also free of mold. I have worked as a sub in the district and used to always witness firsthand the injuries and also suspiciously moldy appearance in the ceilings during my stint as a gym teacher sub. I hope to see some positive outcome from this meeting. Thank you for your time and consideration, Kimberly Mitch."
Thank you.
So, yeah, that's my concern too, so. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is John Owens, English teacher, cross-country coach. This is my 13th year working with the district, and I actually started working here straight out of college. Fresh-faced 22-year-old, looking for a district to work in, find somewhere to use my career, and I lucked out coming here. Starting out, kind of nervous, but I was working with great people. Deb Gaudier, Dickinson, and so on. And what those experienced teachers told me is, hey, look, relax. Small-town community, small-town school. And it's got a whole bunch of benefits. Really great kids. Yeah, the pay's a little on the low end, but you know what? The people care. Medical's good. The kids are great. Kids are still great, but things have definitely changed a bit. As Ms. Black mentioned, healthcare was changed. Perk in April said, hey, kind of need to fix this. Board, I believe, agreed in September. Yeah, we'll fix this. It's January. Same district, same kind of kids. From what I'm feeling, the care doesn't seem to be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead, Rita.
Reva Smickle. I'm sure you all know I'm representing the community lunch. I want to thank you once again because I have a fantastic turnout with wonderful teachers, wonderful students that come down and help us. It has changed a little bit this year with what we've had in the past. We now have anywhere, on whatever given week you want, anywhere from 6 to 12 people who are physically incapable of carrying their own trays. I reached out to Mr. Carabinas and Mrs. McKinney. I now have some bigger people coming almost every week till school's out to help these people with their trays. And Christy's coming this week with her kids, so I know I got it made this week. You don't even have to do dishes, Doc. She'll be there. But I just want to say thank you to you once again. It's so wonderful. And I would like to see some of the rest of you that haven't ever been there come down and check it out and see how good it is. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? Any other public participation? Okay. Correspondence.
We just had Mr. Matlock's letter, right?
Anything else, Sean?
Nope, that was it.
Superintendent's report.
I also want to take a moment to thank Glenn for his service on the Board of Education. Can't believe it was only 3 years. It seems like a lot longer than 3 years.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
Yeah, it's starting to blend together. But thank you, Glenn. You meant a lot. You did a lot of good work here, and good luck on the town council. I mean that. As far as the open seat goes, as of this afternoon, we have had 4 applicants. Unfortunately, one of them was a 16-year-old high school student who can't actually sit on the board. But we do have 3. We're still accepting resumes, letters of interest up until Friday afternoon. So if anybody's interested, anybody knows anybody's interested, please encourage them to send in, and then we would look to appoint someone at the meeting on the 12th. Okay. Just a couple of things I have too, just to follow up on the work session from last week. Sent out the email to the board just as far as next steps moving forward. I feel very comfortable personally putting goals down on paper and sending them out to everybody over the next couple of weeks. Just getting an idea of what was discussed last Tuesday and sort of the direction it seemed like the conversation was going. So if everybody's comfortable with that, rather than having Dr. Zwicky come back in, we could do that, or whatever the board would like to do. At the next curriculum meeting, we will talk about the RTI process a little more in depth. We just on this past Monday shared with the teachers round 2 of the RTI, the testing and the things that we do with some positive results. So I know we've been talking about that in curriculum stuff coming up. Also last Thursday here, Dr. Zwicky did come back and do this standards-based report card presentation. We had over 30 people that were here. All 4 sending districts were represented, plus Peaburg and a few others. Excellent presentation. We are actually going to model the standards-based report card in kindergarten immediately, because we hadn't put one out yet. So we're going to work on that, have a rough draft that looks very good to start that process, and then hopefully look to go with that standards-based report card K-3 next year. Okay. As a starting point. And then probably every couple years up the grades. I would say it'd be a long ways away for the high school. I know a few board members had some questions about how to implement it in the high school. It's a ways away, if ever, in the high school. But K-3, we're really hoping to get it in for next year.
How come not K-5?
What's that?
Why not K-5?
Just because of the transition between, when Chris and I were talking about it, he felt that with 4th and 5th, because now there's a rotation, seeing different teachers at different times, he was just hoping to let's start with where we know it's consistent. No.
But we're not switching classes for K-5 next year, right? Or we're not switching classes now, are we?
Well, they see different things.
Oh.
Chris had a better explanation that I just threw at you, which I'll put in writing. But I think a lot of it was just getting it started somewhere and then moving it forward, just to get some feedback on it. As I mentioned a couple times, the 13th of February is our annual Wall of Fame induction. We will be announcing the inductees shortly, so we'll get that out there. But please, if you're free that evening, it's a Thursday evening, come on out about 6 o'clock, and we will honor our new class. Last Friday, we had our cafeteria meeting. I know Mrs. Williams was there. If the cafeteria food was as good that day as it is every day, we've never had any complaints. It was quite good. But we shared our concerns, and I actually think we didn't have to share our concerns. The kids, our students that were there, did an outstanding job of sharing their concerns and what they're seeing. And I think that theme of, okay, this is great that you guys have all this wonderful looking food and wonderful tasting food, but it's not what we're seeing on a daily basis.
How many kids were there? Just.
It was a handful.
There was 11?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
like a dozen. We had a good representation.
Oh, good, okay.
Yeah. From every grade, and just in different kids, with different. Some kids were more on the vegan side. Some kids were a couple of wrestlers who were heavy eaters. Just different stuff. So it was I thought it was a good meeting. I thought, personal point of view, I thought Mass Hills was very responsive. Now let's see what reality becomes again in the short term. I think that's what.
And I honestly don't think that, and I've said this in the past, that I don't believe that it's on site. I think that the women that work in that kitchen work hard.
Right.
And that they're directed from above, and that's what needed
Correct.
they needed to hear the concerns from the kids and from us.
Correct.
And that's what they finally heard.
So I personally thought it was a worthwhile meeting.
Good.
I think we the way those were that we agree. I was going to comment on, Mrs. Hummel sent an email yesterday, actually. I was going to comment on that, but obviously she did talk about some of the needed upgrades in Oxford Street. The February 18th and 19th is our energy audit walkthrough. We've been talking about that for a while. They will be here, obviously, weather permitting, on the 18th and 19th to start the process of the energy walkthrough. And then Mr. Barrick says, well, hopefully we should get some recommendations by the early part of the spring to see what that means. So we are still doing that. And then finally, it's the first time in a while, and I shouldn't say it out loud, but we haven't had much winter weather. January was a very dry month.
Don't say it.
It's the first time in 2 years. I think we're not going to be in school on President's Day, but we've done good so far. So that's all I have for tonight.
Okay. Anybody have anything for Chris?
Yes, Chris, last meeting you talked about reaching out to St. Luke's about.
Yeah, I actually, thanks, Doc, for reminding me. Mr. Bartow did reach out to me. There's a meeting set up. Today's Wednesday. I think it's early next week with one of their higher-ups. And he's got a couple of questions, but that's a big piece of it, the weight room. And there's something else that we had thought we were getting to that he sent me an email this morning. I apologize, but that's the focus of the conversation. So I should have an answer on the 12th.
Are we on continued business? Is that what?
No, just anything.
Superintendent's report.
Anything from my
Oh,
report.
okay. Just let me know when I can ask some questions.
Now, you talked about the seminar that we had last week. One of the things, of course, I've sent you an email about that. I just think that with our budget where we are, that we need to be a little more cautious with the spending that we have, and to pay a consultant to come in for $500 an hour to present a seminar to us. And like I said, I thought that you were as well qualified as he was, because you spoke very intelligently and with good knowledge of every point that he made. I think that you could have done that for us. The other thing is that we pay about $7,700 a year to New Jersey School Board Association, and they have all kinds of programs as well, which would be at no charge to us, which I think we ought to look into.
Okay.
I think we should take advantage of that, because
Yes,
we're
I
paying
think,
those dues.
I think we were going to do that. We had talked about that, putting that off till like May.
Mhm.
Yeah, but we were, that was definitely on our radar. Now it's going on my list.
It's on my list.
Anybody else have anything for Chris? No, okay. Move on to agenda items. Personnel, I need a motion and a second for items 1 through 6. No, and there's changes to 4, if you're on your add-on sheet. Motion?
Motion.
Second? Thank you. Any questions, comments? I have my standard one, number 5, volunteer coaches.
Volunteer coaches. No.
That's what I thought, okay. Anything else? All right, Sal?
Mr. Bund?
Yes.
Mrs. Vakino?
Yes.
Dr. Suffolk?
Yes.
Mr. LeBar?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mrs. Stefan?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott?
Okay, can I have a motion and a second for agenda items under education 7 through 8A? There's a bunch on your additional sheet. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, questions, comments? No questions, no comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Can I have a motion and a second for business items 9 through 14? Second? Second. Okay, questions, comments? Nobody? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I abstain on 12 and 13.
Okay, continuing business. This is probably we wanna
Okay. Gifted and talented, really on that?
We are nowhere on that. I thought we had a conversation. We're holding off on that at the moment.
We are holding off. But the kids are still going
Mhm.
to see Mrs. Dwyer?
There, yep,
Okay.
yep. I'm sorry, I thought you meant the coordinator.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But yeah, Githrin program is still up and running, yes.
Okay. So holding off on the coordinator.
Hold on, coordinator.
I've been asking for months about Mrs. McKinney's workload. I know she has to be riced.
Mhm.
Can she be riced? We can discuss it.
Sure.
Because I've been, I think I mentioned that back in September. Is there a reason Mr. Carabinas and Mr. Lazare aren't at any board meetings recently?
I asked them to attend, and they have not chosen to do so.
Mr. Carabinas, I believe he does the PTA or something along those lines.
Yeah, he usually
I was
is.
wondering if we could change the calendar on that, because I do know of a couple of parents that are saying that they can't be in two places at once. They want to go with Mr. Carabinas, but then they want to come here, so maybe look at changing the time for that.
I agree with that. I made that suggestion as well. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
let's change that night, but any reason why, that no reason was provided? Because since I've been on the board for a year, they were coming all the time, now they're not here. So
I can
that's-
certainly follow up and get a better answer if you'd like.
Yeah, that was actually on my list as well.
Okay, well,
Yeah, that's very concerning.
point of question.
Have we done anything about, the bullying suggestions that I made? Looked
What
into
suggestions?
it with the buddy system?
Yeah, we have the buddy program up and running, and Mr. Schnauzer shaking her head, and so is Mr. Weber.
Is this a new buddy program? Or is this the same one that was in place? Like last time I mentioned having a high school student pair with one of the elementary school students?
I'm not sure how it's working, because I'm not down there.
Yeah, I have to double check. From my understanding, though, there are some high school kids that are going down.
Yeah, we got,
Yeah, there's definitely some high school kids that are buddied
I
up.
think fifth grade or something.
Yeah.
So if you're a board member and you're concerned about bullying issues, who would you go to? Can I speak directly with the bullying coordinator?
Mhm.
I can speak directly with
Sure.
her. And then I have something on the test scores, which we've been talking about. Everybody knows that our test scores are low, that it's a big concern of mine. So I did an analysis on some local districts in the area. I took their, I'm gonna just pass 1, 2, 3 down this way. Pass this.
Did you keep one for yourself, Catherine?
Yep, I got one.
So these are school districts that are made up in the same,
Well, we
that we
have,
are?
yeah, so basically, and I apologize, the Excel spreadsheets are a little small to read, but I'll kind of go through what I did. So I asked Mr. Karuba for the opt-out rates in each district, sending districts, but also Warren County mostly. And what I did is I went on the New Jersey website and found out, if you go to like Oxford Street Elementary, which is the first spreadsheet, I broke it out by grade. So kids start testing in 3rd grade for Park. So I did grade 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did the percentage of students that tested a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. And then you will see in the average for grade column, the number's a little bit larger, it's bolded. That's the average score for each grade. So for grade 3, 2.653, for grade 4, 2.587, for grade 5, 2.875, and so forth. Gives total overall average of 2.76 for Oxford Street Elementary School. Okay, I did it based on language arts scores. I did not do math scores. The math proficiency is less than this. So our scores for math the overall average would be less than 2.76. Okay, so I did the same analysis, and I couldn't do for every single district, so I picked a handful of districts. I did it for Oxford Street, I did it for Alpha District, I did it for Great Meadows and Liberty, and I did it for Harmony. So, if we go over the averages, Oxford Street has an average of 2.76, Alpha has an average of 3.13. Great Meadows Liberty has an average of, well, Great Meadows has an average of 3.64, Liberty 3.78, and Harmony has an average of 3.1655. So,
And the
based,
opt-out rate is the same,
so I'm gonna go over the opt-out
Okay.
rates now, okay? So now that we have the averages for each school,
Mhm.
I'll go over my conclusions, which is at the front of the packet that I handed out. Oxford Street Elementary School has the same opt-out rate as Liberty, but has a significantly lower average. I believe it disproves the theory that opt-out rates greatly affect test scores. Alpha Elementary School has an opt-out rate of less than half of Harmony's, but they both perform almost identical. Liberty Elementary School has a high opt-out rate of 9.1%, which is the same as Oxford Street. Belvidere Elementary School, but they still achieve an overall average score of 3.64. So if you compare Oxford Street Elementary, which is 2.76, to Liberty Elementary, which is 3.64, with the same opt-out rate, averages are grossly different. Great Meadows opt-out rate is approximately half of Liberty's opt-out rate, but their average of test scores were about the same. They're both in the same district. Liberty is K through 3, I believe, or it's elementary. They dissolved it this year, but these are all based on last year's test scores. So it's now just Great Meadows. Harmony Elementary School opt-out rate is lower than Liberty's opt-out rate, but Harmony's overall average is still significantly lower. So I have been told that one of the main reasons our test scores are so low is because of opt-out rates. So I spent all this time gathering this information because I believe that opt-out rates based on this research are basically not the reason for our low test scores. So I know that we're looking into different things and we're looking into adding different things to the district, educational things, but I just want the entire board and everybody to know that we need to do something about this. This is very important. It's been minimized, and the opt-out rates aren't the reason. So we need to find out what the reason is, and we need to address it because, as John Owen said, this is a great district, great community, great kids. We're underperforming. Town council's concerned about it. Residents are concerned. We're significantly underperforming. And it can't be ignored anymore. It has to be addressed. We need to come together, come up with solutions to improve the district academically. So, thank you. That's
Thank
what I
you.
had for continuing business.
Well, thanks for putting it together. Do you want to?
My only comment is, district factor groups, I don't believe, I know for sure Harmony and Belvidere are not in the same district factor group, which is an impact, my opinion only. And I still do believe while Ms. Pell points out that the opt-outs don't affect it, it does. It does. It's just hard for me to swallow that if a kid doesn't take it, and because we're over a certain threshold, they get a 1, as opposed to a kid who could likely have gotten a 5. It has an impact. So it could probably
Well,
impact.
how come Liberty's?
I'll finish.
Okay.
It could probably impact them similarly, but there are also other factors. You can't just look straight at test scores. You just can't. The district factor group is huge, and I would find it hard to believe that we're in the same district factor groups as these. But I'm not sitting here and saying that we don't need to improve our test scores, because I've said that since day one. I'm not sitting here minimizing. I don't think I've ever minimized one bit of this. And one of the things I was saying even last week with the conversation is I think we have rolled out some good programs. Do we need to get better? Yes, we do. But I don't know that saying that the opt-outs is really not a piece of that. That to me is something that is a piece of that. But
Okay, well, I just want everybody to know that, and I also, when we were rated 16 out of 100, the only other district I could find worse than that was Newark.
right.
So opt-out rates, I mean, based on the research, I mean, believe it or not, it's there, but
But you're looking at a small group, though. You're looking at 4 other schools.
our average is so much lower that even if it had some effect, it could not explain the entire difference. It just can't, so.
Fair enough.
I'm sure we'll talk about this in curriculum,
I'm sure we will.
but thank you for putting that together. You got anything else? Before I see if anybody else has anything?
No, that was it, thanks.
Anybody else have anything for Chris? Under continuing business? I have a few, because what I started to do was every meeting where we bring stuff up, to compile a list, so we can kind of just touch back on what we've talked about and see what the the progress was. So Bob had brought up about a student rep going to town council.
Yeah, we brought that up with Mrs. Koch. She is looking for someone from student council to take on that position.
Okay. Board of Ed rep to go to town council. I did go Monday night because I did not wind up with my granddaughter, so I was there. Glenn, he saw me, and Donnie. But theoretically, I can't go on Monday nights because I'm supposed to have my granddaughter. So I really think it's important that somebody goes. I don't know if somebody wants to volunteer to go. It's twice a month. Is it second and fourth, Don?
Second and fourth.
Second and fourth Mondays?
Could you send out like a Google form of some sort that we could just kind of sign up, so it doesn't have to be the same person, because we all have busy schedules.
Yes, I
I'm
know.
sure
That's a
that
good
we will,
idea.
You know, we'll all take our turns.
You gonna do that?
I'm on it.
All right. We had talked about an open house at the high school.
In the process of planning that.
Okay,
Should have a date for you hopefully at the next meeting.
okay. High school signboard. I know you and I talked about this, and somebody, who emailed me today about this?
Mr. Lucas did.
Yes,
Yep.
John, sorry.
Yeah. We had an administrative meeting on Monday that was brought up. I want that. I also agree.
Yeah.
Like to have all these sporting events, all the other plays.
The Board of Ed
tonight,
meeting
Super
should have been
Song,
up there?
Board of Ed, we should have all.
Okay, so
Yep.
we should see a change there?
Yeah,
soon?
that's gonna be changed. The person who controls it will be relieved of that duty.
Okay, the only thing town council, that happened at town council that has anything to do with us is Donnie brought it up, and you're here, so you can answer any questions if there was. I guess Donnie's on Recreation Committee as well, so Summer Rec is trying to figure out what their plans are for the summer. He got feedback that we're gonna run the daycare, our childcare out of here for the summer. That was the first I heard of that.
Yeah.
I've been contacted with Chris Carbinas, asking him if they were interested, work-home connection, work-family connection, was interested in doing some summer program. We had a meeting, they weren't interested, but a questionnaire was to be sent out to parents to gauge interest. I haven't heard back since then, but I have heard from some parents that they got a questionnaire that had a link that didn't work.
Okay.
So, I don't know, I have to speak with Chris, find out where they want beyond that, because
Okay,
the
I'll find out.
concern is, I think we may get late in May and parents are gonna start panicking, what do we
Right.
do with our children for the summer?
Well, that's why I was bringing it up too.
Okay.
The summer rec, normally we do a 6-week program, but if the facility's in use and we're competing against the same kids, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So my attempt was to try to do something coordinated, so if the school's doing something great, we can do other programs throughout the summer for the kids. Also, last night I had a pool commission meeting, and they were very concerned about not having little cedars, and that really hurt the revenue stream. So, yeah, there's a lot of interest in it, but I just want to make sure everyone coordinates through summer for the kids.
I'll
Yeah,
find out
that's-
about that link.
that's why I
and see
wanted to
that's
bring it
why-
up.
Yeah, I'll find out about the link and see if it's working and.
Yeah, and
Yep.
I thought we had discussed, and this was just that
Yeah.
the agency that's doing the daycare does offer summer daycare, but at another facility.
Correct.
Okay.
They were trying to do an interest to see if enough people would want us to bring in here. We recognize the rec program has used our facilities, and we would continue to allow them to do that, so.
I think the problem is they're not, they feel they're not gonna have the kids. If the kids are here, they're not gonna be there.
Correct,
So
yeah.
I think we need to get them an answer
The town
soon.
only offers a 6-week thing, 9 to 2, or 9, it's not even
Yeah.
a full day.
Yeah.
So, I think that was our concern.
Yeah, so I think we need to get them an answer is kinda where I was gonna head with
Okay,
that.
got it.
Okay, that's all I have on my list. And nobody else? Okay, so,
Second public participation.
yeah, we'll do a second public participation. We are gonna have an executive session. So we'll do public participation now. Or wait, is there any new business? We forgot new business.
The other thing I had mentioned too was just about goal setting, and I'll put some stuff out to the board,
Okay.
just some of those ideas
Beautiful.
based off of what we had at the conversation. If there's anything that you took away from the conversation that you'd like me to consider, let me throw in there, please feel free to send that out to me.
Got it.
And as far as new business, I brought it up in an email before I was even a board member about freshman sports. And Mr. Bartow was sending out a survey to the sending districts, and there was, I think, feasibility study done, but I never met with him. I don't know what the
Okay.
end result of that was.
If you email me, I can get you that information, because we did present that. on one of
That's the
board
only
meetings.
meeting I missed was September.
Yeah, and that's the one we did it at. But if you email me tonight, tomorrow, I'll have either myself or Mr. Bartow send that over to you, just so you can see what all the data was.
Okay.
Did everybody get my packet? Oh, there's extra ones?
Okay, second public participation.
Hi, my name's Heather Stokes, and Mrs. Pell bringing up the opting out thing. I am one of those parents that both my children have never once taken the park test, and I don't intend to. I know it was brought up a while back at one of the meetings, and I unfortunately have missed some previous ones, that there was discussion of possible punishment for those that opt out. Or there was a discussion in taking them out of certain things, or maybe not allowing them to participate. And I'm
We're not
hoping
gonna do
that's
that.
not a
Yeah.
direction we're going in,
No,
because
not at
we
all.
have a right to opt out.
Correct.
It's my reason, I have my reasons.
Yeah,
You say, my kids, you know, they work hard. If they're not on high honor roll, they're on honor roll. This is a decision I chose to make for them their entire lives right now. Like I said, they have not taken it once, but I certainly hope you're not going down that
we
road.
certainly, as superintendent, I have no intention of doing that personally. The only issue you're going to face is the graduation requirement that's from the state when they get to high school.
Yep.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Anybody else? Nope, okay, so I'll read our executive session. It is hereby resolved that the board will now go into private session to discuss litigation. Any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public as soon as practicable. Minutes of the private session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. The board will reconvene in public session at the conclusion of the closed session. We're probably gonna be a little while.
I'd say 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say probably 30 minutes. Are we gonna take action?
May or may not.
May or may not take action at the end. I'm gonna sign these.
Motion and second?
We need a motion to go into executive session.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, executive session, here we come. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Adjourn. Best part.